pandemonium. Use my fangs to murder ya. Yo soy la diosa, los demonios no me controlan. Soy culebra.
What's up, everyone? Octoberz here with another episode of Nightmare on Sedgwick Avenue. This is season 5, episode 12, and today I really have a really dope guests. Actually, I've been manifesting to have them on my podcast. It's a family that actually does horror films together. They had a film that I really loved, and I think in one of my YouTube videos that I did for like horror movies of that year, it was on the list. It's called Hellbender. I recommend it to a lot of people because I really love it. It's about witches, and we'll get into it in a bit. But I found out that the people that do behind the film is actually a family, directed, written, acted, all that stuff, which is really dope. And today I have Zelda, Lulu and John Adams and Toby Poser, who are the family, and I just call them the Adams family, pun intended. But here they are here. How are you guys doing?
Great. Thank you so much for having us.
No, thank you guys for your time. And you guys are on different coasts. Cool that I got to have you guys all together. Like Toby said, it's kind of a rare thing to have everybody here, so I'm really excited to have you guys on here. And kind of to get started, I kind of wanted to get at least like a background of like your family, like how you guys fell in love with film, and how did that whole thing start with you guys making films?
Sure. Who wants to go?
I feel like you should go.
Well, okay. So in 2010, we were living in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Lulu was 11, Zelda was 6, and I had been acting, and I wasn't really getting roles, just on the cusp of turning 40. And John had been in this fun rock and roll reality show, and he was loving being on a set. So we just kind of put our minds together and said, well, let's just do our own thing and let's make a movie. And we set out in an old RV. We called it Horror the RV. And we lived for a year on the road making our first film, and we just fell in love. And now we've maybe 9 features later, we're still at it.
That's pretty cool. And how did you guys decide like who was gonna do what, like the writing, the acting, all that? How did that come about?
I think in a way we're still deciding that. I think people do what they want to do. We're a fun unit. Everybody has their opinions. We're all got strong heads, and one of the things I think we learned pretty early is let everybody do what they want. So, and people gravitate to kind of what they do best, I think, Yeah. Like, Z's a great cinematographer. Toby's a great writer. Lulu's an excellent actress. It's kind of and a hard worker, and we just kind of roll together like a unit.
That's really cool. And what like made you guys fall in love with horror? Like why specifically like horror?
It's funny. Let's talk about like maybe like what got us started. Like Toby was working on a script, and so John, Lulu, and I were like bored, like twiddling our thumbs, like, well, what are we gonna do? Like, and I remember I think I was like 12 or 13, and I probably had just started watching a bunch of horror movies, and I was like, well, I think it'd be really fun if I could just like kill a bunch of guys in a movie. And John was like, I can make that happen.
I got a bunch of friends we can kill.
So we made our first short little hour-long horror movie called The Hatred, and then submitted it to some festivals, got in and went to the festivals, and got to meet the horror crowd and see what it felt like to make a horror film. And it was just amazing. We love the community so much, and never going back. We're just gonna keep doing horror.
That's dope. I like to hear that. And what's like, obviously working with the family, it has its goods and bads too, because everybody sometimes either clashes or depending on people's personalities. But how is it working with your family? Like what's the most rewarding and what's the most difficult?
I feel like it's so hard to say even anything negative, honestly, because we all started at the same time, really together. We all had aspects of film. Like Zelda and I liked doing theater as kids and had done a little bit of like kids modeling and advertising and stuff. But and then Mom had done so much acting in theater. Dad had been in a cool rock and roll TV show and in the rock and roll scene. We all had like a little taste of it, but we all started making the film together like equal. You know, Zelda and I, we were like 12 and 6. 12 and 7, right, Z? when we started the first movie, Rumble Strips.
Oh, wow.
And we all were figuring out how to run the sound, how to run the camera. Oh, you're on screen now? Okay, I'll take the camera, pass it to me. Kind of, and then alternatively directing. Whoever was behind the camera was kind of directing. And so I think we all had the same style so much that we did it for so many years, it really doesn't clash so much.
Yeah.
But we do have different flavors, kind of like different ideas sometimes of like maybe one person will have a more crazy kind of like, let's turn the camera this way and make it look really creepy this way, or oh, let's do like a faraway shot and let's get a drone camera. I know Zelda, you're a big advocate of the drone camera, right?
Yeah.
And so I think maybe at first, maybe just catching the flow of, all right, I do my shot first, then Toby next, then Zelda, then John, like just taking turns.
Yeah.
Doing your idea first, and then whoever did best will see in editing after.
That's cool. Yeah, I think it also, like you said, is about the time too that you spend together. Because I also have another podcast that I do with my sister, and like the first year it was kind of hard because we're like opposite personalities, and so at first I was like, we would like kind of get mad at each other, and then after like the second year we're like, okay, now you do that, you're good at this, I do this, you do that. So I understand that part. And like I said, it's really dope that you guys do like independent films, and like I said, together. What advice would you give to someone that's starting out, like trying to make an independent film? What would be like a piece of advice you would give them?
Well,
Don't listen to all the people that tell you can't do it, because you'll hear that just way too much. Oh, you can't do that. You need a crew. You need lighting. You need cameras. That's all just bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
and everybody, there's people out there that want to see your viewpoint. So people should make movies, whether it's with an iPhone or with a big expensive camera, because a lot of us out here want to hear and see what they have to say.
That's true. Yeah, I love that. Anybody else have another piece of advice, or is that?
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, go ahead. Go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, I think one of the reasons that we could do it is because it's actually way more affordable than people think. Like, you can get a great quality camera for a smaller budget than you think, and it doesn't take a lot. Like, even you can do it on your phone nowadays. Like, there are so many festivals that have submissions where it's like films only shot on phones, and so that's a really great practice also for making films. Like, I think the only thing that it takes is like saying yes and making a lot of mistakes. Like, I can't tell you how many scenes we've had to shoot actually like 10 times, but it's so worth it because the 9 times before that 10th try, we've made a mistake, but learned from it to make the best scene. And those mistakes are what like make the best kind of movie.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. And I would say not to follow convention. I mean, I think that goes towards whether you're talking about the story you're creating, like be creative and break rules. I mean, I'm very kind of anti-structure, that you pick up a book and say this is like the 5-act structure of the film, or this is like when you have to have the climax. And I'm really against all of that stuff. I think, I mean, if it works for you, great, but I think just don't follow rules. And you also don't need to have as many people on your set as people think. Often people think, oh, I have to have this person on the camera and this person on the sound. It's like, dude, you can like wear every hat, and you should if you can.
No, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's great advice for those people listening in. And that kind of like brings me to my next question about, like I said, Hellbender is one of my favorite films. I like like you said, it was a unique story. Like, I've never seen it, something like that. Like for the witches, like I think everything's been done, I feel like, and I feel you guys took like a different twist to it, which I really loved. Like even the mythology of like the rituals and all that stuff. I'm like, where did you guys get all this stuff? But where did the idea of Hellbender come from?
Man, that I think makes all of us very happy to hear.
Yeah, that's super generous.
Well, I'll just two things. First of all, we have our band Hellbender, where the E's are 6s, and so that existed before the movie Hellbender existed, and we were starting to make some music videos for Hellbender, and they just all had a very kind of witchy, dark, cool vibe to them, and we thought, well, let's go further with that and really explore what the concept of this Hellbender is. Like, was very liberating. We to just start at a place where we said we can make a Hellbender be whatever we want it to be. But those videos really kind of inspired us to go in that direction. And then real fast, another funny thing happened was, so I learned a few years ago that I was donor conceived, that my dad wasn't my biological dad. So until we knew who that dad was, it was kind of fun, guessing like, oh man, he could be like this or that, or he could be a serial killer, and, an axe murderer. And that kind of led us to wanting to make a story originally about the devil's daughter, and it was going to be about the devil's daughter, and we weren't quite ready to like do the devil's daughter. So that just instead it was about, no, let's explore this kind of witchy Hellbender entity.
That's pretty cool. And I also like the theme of it too, like it's a theme under the film too, just beyond it being a supernatural film, but also like I guess the dangers of trying to keep your child safe, but in the end it kind of backfires on you from the story, like where, for those listening in, like the premise of the story is Izzy is the main character, and then her mother, they live in the middle of the forest, kind of like secluded from everyone, and she's kind of trying to keep her from knowing her roots, right, that she's like a witch, but then in the end, and she doesn't want her to become evil, but it kind of backfires on her. Just to leave it there, so I don't want to give too many spoilers out there, but how did that come about too, like adding that twist to the story as well?
I think a lot of it has to do with like, it's tricky being a parent, because we all have histories, and all of us have done things that maybe we regret. And then the question becomes, do you tell your kids, like, I've done this and you should try not to, or do you lie to your kids and say, I haven't done it? And so it's like, and there really is no right answer. We choose just tell the kids the truth so they know everything, so then you don't have to remember your lies. But the other choice is equally good. And so we just wanted to explore that. Like, like the mother's trying to do something beautiful. She wants her daughter to have what she thinks could be a beautiful life. And when the daughter sees what she's been hiding, she says, hey, that's not your choice to make. And she's right. So both of them are right. And that's what's fun about filmmaking, is to show like both sides of the coin are equally as strong and valid.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I like how that was interwoven into the story. And then obviously the opening scene too is like super crazy with the witch. Like, where did that idea come from too? Because obviously we're used to like seeing them burn at the stake, but not ever actually like go and just fly up burning,
Well, what's really fun about like within the horror genre is, I mean, often you can take something that's been done a lot of time, many times over, and you just kind of put your own twist on it. So in the case of we thought it would be interesting to have a witch hanging, but instead of a bunch of men hanging witches, we thought it would be interesting to have women who found agency to hang seemingly one of their own, another female. And that actually has a lot to do with the power that, when you talk about the mythology, the power that we devised around Hellbenders was, well, historically, a lot of women were hanged because they knew a lot. And in many eyes, they knew too much. They were wise. They were educated. They could swim. They could use nature and the earth to form what seemed like magic, but really it was just they were in touch with what was around them, and they were maligned for that. So we kind of thought, well, if our power makes you so terrified of us, then the Hellbenders will gain their power from that fear of women themselves running through others' blood, whether you're male or female. So that kind of helped inform the power of this Hellbender.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. And I'm guessing now that you told me you're in Oregon, that's where it was filmed, because I could just tell from like the nature. Is that where the film took place, or?
Really interesting that half of the film took place right where we're not in this house, but right in this area where we're sitting. We started filming in New York, and then COVID hit, and so we hit the road and lived in a trailer, and so we filmed half the movie in upstate New York, and the other half pretty much out here here on the Oregon coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I was gonna say, like, I feel like that was another like character without it being intentional, maybe, but it was awesome because like you were just talking about witches, how they're in tune with nature, and I feel like that kind of added even more to the story too. Like, I love like the scenery and all that stuff.
Oh,
Oh
thank
yeah,
you.
that scene where you first see the mother character in the
Hmm.
woods, she makes the sigil and she kind of
Yeah.
puts her blood on it, and there we just had to look around us for inspiration because there were just like there was orange fungus at our feet and these beautiful mushrooms and the green moss and just the dripping wetness. It was so we're very inspired by what's around us, especially through nature. And Oregon was just doing a lot of the heavy lifting. It was like, oh, there it is.
But you
And
said something. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it was just, and it was during COVID, the start of COVID,
Mhm.
that we had a lot of it to ourselves. Kind of like, there weren't big barbecue parties out on the on the beach. No one was roasting anything outside, and so it was just us on like the Oregon coast, like all the Pacific Northwest. It was like wide, expansive beaches, and so we had these kind of dark, melancholy, gray beaches, perfect for kind of shooting without sunlight and not many people around. A couple of people we definitely freaked out walking by a couple times. I think someone said to John, they saw him just filming with a film camera, and I was lying on a table, and the ocean was flowing under the table, and this guy was walking by walking his dog. Didn't he say to you, like,
Aren't you a little old to be doing this?
yeah? I didn't think like a home movie.
But you said something super smart. Nature is our favorite character and our favorite actress, and she always shows up and acts however she wants, and it's our job as a family to wait and try to capture what she wants to do, and she's always
Cool.
right. That was I'm really happy that you said that because we all love sitting out in nature and watching her do her thing.
It's so true. Nature has given us literally the best gifts as like writers and filmmakers we could have ever asked for. Like we have a whole entire scene that tells you a lot about like the history and aspects of being a hellbender,
Hmm.
revolving around this scene where we both eat a fuzzy wuzzy, and that was from being in Portland and seeing all these fuzzy wuzzies and being like, damn, we got to make a scene around these.
Let's
And
kill one of these.
yeah. And there's that, and then there's also the scene with the deer carcass. That was another thing where we were just taking a hike, actually scouting another location. We come across this huge deer carcass, and we're like, oh my god, we'd be ridiculous not to make a scene on this. So there, I think nature likes that we hire her in our movies, so sometimes she gives us a little gift.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that kind of brings me to my next thing. Like I said, the mythology is what I loved about it too. Like it was unique. Like even like the rituals, the sigil, all that stuff. Even using of like the different berries and like you said, fungus and all that stuff to like create like certain powers that they would get. I was like, where did that come from? Like, did you guys like research or you just randomly like these ideas popped up?
For that for that mythology, we just I like to think that we just kind of really summoned our 4-year-old imagination because little kids can create magic all the time just
That's
with
true.
their minds. They can play with mud patties. They're happy just with like a bucket and a shell and the coast, and some water. And so once you kind of if you really look at the spells in the movie, they're super simple and they're just almost child's logic.
Yeah.
Like it's like, well, what happens if you have spider webs mixed with I mean huckleberries, then you have sticky hands and you can climb trees. It just makes sense. Spider webs are sticky. Huckleberries are like vine like. The sigil itself looks like an eye. It looks like an eagle's eye, and it's
Mhm.
really up there to have a bird's point of view of what's going down below. And if you empower that with blood, you're only making it more powerful because she's looking at her blood.
Yeah.
She and just blood is a powerful thing. It keeps us alive. So it's all just super simple logic, and we just kind of
Yeah.
had to play with it.
But we also wanted to show like we love hiking, we love camping, and there's a lot of hidden magic out in nature. You see a
Mhm.
lot of beautiful mushrooms. I mean, there's just hidden magic everywhere. You look at a plant, and it's so gorgeous. You think to yourself, "There's magic in it." And what's fun about the Hellbenders is that magic is built into their DNA. They
Yeah.
know how to ride the magic that humans don't know how to ride.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I was kind of laughing too in the beginning where like you guys are just eating like just like little like stems and stuff. I was like, oh my god, and I was like, oh no wonder, because then like if you eat like human stuff, then it obviously gives you more power. But I was like, why are they eating this? I
It
was
looks
like, this, how did they get full? You know.
good.
And then another thing too that I noticed, or at least for me, being a horror fan, like I saw like some similarities too with the story. Kind of reminded me a little bit of like Carrie, like at least the dynamic with the mother and the daughter, where she tries to like protect her, and then she calls her, I think, mother too in like the original Carrie. So, what was there any horror films that kind of also inspired the film, or any homage to any horror films within the film?
Yeah. Go ahead, Z. I think.
Oh, well, I mean, it's so funny because Carrie is one of the first movies I ever saw. I think that Toby showed me when I was like in second grade. So, yeah, I think that there is that idea of like following suit a little bit with the mother-daughter storyline, especially
Mm-hmm.
like making a statement about like parenting styles. I think that we all know that the more strict a parent is, the more likely a child is to do something, and we see that
Yeah.
in and we also kind of replicate that in Hellbender. We I This is way more specific, but
Mm-hmm.
there's one scene in the movie where we definitely I think got some influence from The Descent. It's the scene where Toby is or mother is crawling through that, you know,
Oh yes, yeah, yeah.
funky thing.
Little crawl
And
space.
yeah, we'd seen The Descent and it made us so claustrophobic. And we were like,
Oh
ah,
yeah.
we got to do something nasty and claustrophobic like that. But were you going to say something, Toby?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Raw, because
Oh, yeah.
we're big fans of the movie Raw, and how she has that great finger munching scene, and Zelda's character is just fantasizing about this dumb, stupid twig she's eating.
Yeah.
It's like a finger,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's cool. And then another thing you guys mentioned, obviously you have like your band, Hellbender, and that's how it kind of came about. And I really like the music and all that stuff. Like, how do you guys still make music, or is that something you guys do on the side, or?
Yeah, we still make music. We love playing in a band together, and it's a real part. It's a real fun part of filmmaking is adding the sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
So the girls have their voices just work so well together, and it's also super fun to write songs about horrible things. So it's kind of like perfect. Like our band's called Hellbender, the E's are sixes, and we get to kind of just like really explore fun themes with that music.
That's cool. And who does like who writes the lyrics, or is it kind of you guys take turns?
Uh, Zelda writes some, I write some. Toby, everybody kind of like has because basically it's an organic process. So I think everybody puts in stuff because everybody's got to feel good about singing it.
That's cool. That's cool. And like I mentioned, I really love this film, so I kind of recommend it to people that are like into horror. And I wanted to shout out my friend Ink Eater. She watched it and she really loved it as well. And she wanted to ask a question, which was if everything in the film was scripted, or was there anything that was like improvised because you were feeding off each other's like energy or that the scene.
A lot, a lot improvised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, we typically don't we have a structure of our films, but it's so funny when we go into a scene, all we have is our notes app open. Like these are the main quotes that we gotta hit, but otherwise, good luck.
A couple of us aren't very good at memorizing shit. So it's better if we don't try.
That's cool. And what was your favorite like scene or part of the movie to film?
Hmm.
That's a great question. No one's ever asked that.
There's a lot of it.
Um, I liked filming in those, like, remember when the buffalo were roaming around and we were filming Toby in the mist
Oh yeah.
for the dream sequence? I think that was my favorite time. We were near some like lava pits, and
Oh, wow.
it was winter time, and the the lava pits were putting up steam, and in the steam sometimes there was buffalo, so it was kind of like, it was fun because
wow.
it was kind of creepy and crazy and cold and beautiful.
I agree. I have a very different favorite. Sorry if you can hear the sirens. I'm in New York City. But my favorite scene to make, it definitely was not John's, but this isn't going to give away a lot just because it happens in the beginning of the movie, but his character gets completely demolished, and to do that we had to do the actual effect. So what are those machines called, like that lift things?
Kubota? Oh.
A Kubota, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
We were
front
using
loader, like a bulldozer.
a Kubota and hooked John up to it with, like, I don't know, like a harness or something. But we were like controlling it, and or Toby was controlling the Kubota, and let's just say it was not a seamless up and down process, and John was just getting yanked and yanked around.
It's just a good thing we already like had kids.
Yeah,
Like,
she
he
took
would
a
be
couple
like,
octaves off. Oh my god.
I liked it when we got to shoot with Lulu at the pool, because Lulu was in college, and then she studied abroad and then lived abroad. So it's rare. It's a rare, beautiful day when we get to work with Lulu, when we find ourselves in the same place. So a little bit in the Northwest, and then some back in upstate New York, we got to work with Lulu. So those pool scenes were really fun, because Lulu's just like the life of the party.
It was fun. I think my favorite one was when you guys came up here. They came up here in a trailer. They road tripped over here. I was just a daycare teacher over here, and they came to come bring horror into my life. And they drove up here. We were, I think, on the Washington coast at that point, and there were sneaker wave warnings. And we went out to go film a dream scene on the water, and pretty much I was on a table, this like white table, so it kind of like it was floating because everything was kind of blending together with the sun shining down the wet coast. And next thing we know, and it's freezing cold. It was around November or December.
And she was in a bikini.
Yeah, I was in a little ring bikini on this table in the freezing cold. We were taking turns running out from the car. Okay, your turn, go. And I'd run out, have my blanket left in the car, keep the heat like blowing. And next thing we know, a sneaker wave comes out, and everyone runs, and I'm there on the table, stuck there on the table. Just this wave comes right underneath me on this table. I think it's gonna take me away.
Oh my god.
But I was laughing because I thought it was so funny, because everyone else booked it and ran, and I had this wave flowing under me, and everyone was kind of laughing, and I'm pretty sure someone was watching us, laughing at us in the distance also.
Definitely.
It's so crazy. It was so funny. It was great.
That's cool. That's cool. And what was your favorite part of like filming the film, like Hellbender, and then what was the most difficult part?
Sorry, the lights just went off.
That was like a horror movie. You did your own little horror movie on the podcast.
That was so scary.
Like those motion sensor ones.
It would have been so awesome.
Yeah. Wait, sorry, what was the question?
The question was, what was like the best part of like making the film Hellbender, and what was the most difficult part?
Okay, I think this is kind of a broad answer, but we shot it during COVID, which was a time with, it was a time with a lot of struggles, and a lot of disadvantages, but I will say that was also the advantage. We're a family that makes films together. No, not a lot of other people were able to make films during this time, but I think that we were. And it was like a pretty scary time, but the fact that we were to have this outlet was very like therapeutic and very comforting. And I think it filled the time wonderfully, and it makes me happy, like looking back at that era.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I loved hanging out with the girls. We got to hang out a lot together, and what's fun about making movies as a family is you do have to wait a lot together. You have to sit and wait for a cloud. You have to sit and wait for the wind to stop. You basically just sit with your family, or our family's our crew, and it was just like, it was a super romantic, beautiful time, because the four of us spent a lot of time just sitting and hanging out.
That's pretty cool. I guess you guys made the best out of COVID. I was like, you guys were very productive.
Yeah.
It wasn't good for the world, but it was
Yeah.
certainly good for us because everybody was inside and we were outside.
Yeah. And I also see that you guys have an upcoming project where the devil roams, and I don't know what you guys can talk about, but if you guys can share any, like either the premise or when we can expect that, if it's public information yet.
Yeah, it's yeah, we can talk about it. It's we call it a cross between Frankenstein, Bonnie and Clyde, and the Grapes of Wrath.
Wow.
It takes place during Depression era America, and it's about a family of sideshow performers who have a murderous, some murderous
Tendencies.
Yeah, tendencies. Homicidal tendencies.
But they love each other, their family, and we had so much fun making this. It's from an idea that Zelda had on the way to soccer practice.
Nice.
Did it come out of one of your nightmares, Z?
Yeah. It's so funny. I used to watch American Horror Story, and season 4 really affected me with that creepy ass clown. And I used to like go to sleep feeling like that clown was under my bed, and then I'd have nightmares about him. But as I got older, I started thinking about like, well, what if there are, clowns that are like protagonists, And so I kind of went into the idea of this movie with like a family of, clowns. We're not clowns in the movie, but we are carnies. And I think that we're antagonistic protagonists.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice.
That's a great call, Z. What was also fun about Where the Devil Roams is that Lulu played a huge role in it, and once again we were like the family was it's a very family movie.
Which says a lot because it's our most brutal movie.
Yes, it's super duper brutal, and it looks like it'll be unleashed on the world like in the summer.
Nice. Okay, can't wait. Yeah, it kind of reminded me like when you were telling the premise, because I did read on it online, and it kind of reminded me also like A House of a Thousand Corpses, except like just a different twist to it,
Cool.
because like they're still a family, but they're kind of twisted.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
yeah,
he's
you guys have to
cool.
watch it. Yeah, at least the first one is the best one, I think, is by Rob Zombie.
Yeah, and he's cool because he uses, he's family. He uses him and his wife make these movies,
Yeah.
and he's very loyal to the people in his movies, and I admire him. And
Those who slay together stay together.
yeah,
That's true. And I was gonna say too, like, I kind of like to ask this question, like, since you guys film like these type of films, like horror films, sometimes paranormal stuff or like supernatural stuff tends to happen sometimes during filming. Did you guys have any of that in any of your films?
Well, the house that we shot that they live in, which was interesting, like our previous film was The Deeper You Dig, which
Okay.
is like a ghost possession story, and that house was in its skeletal form, and in Hellbender it was in its beautiful form. John renovated the house. That house supposedly has a ghost named Elsie in it, but she only presents herself to available men. So I guess you didn't get to see her, right?
I didn't get to see her, but I didn't want to either because people really believe in Elsie in this house that I fixed up, and like not people that would normally be into that kind of thing, and that's what makes it tricky. Is when like people that don't believe in ghosts or talk about horror movies or interested in that at all are scared to death of seeing Elsie. So there was a couple times I got chills up my spine about Elsie.
I almost died in there. I fell through the floor.
Yes,
Oh
you
my
did.
God.
Maybe she didn't like me.
Yeah,
Like-
Elsie definitely wouldn't like the competition of Lulu. That would be
Yeah.
bad.
And I was gonna say too, like, what's your for everyone, what's your like top 5 horror movies for each of you individually?
Ooh, 5.
Okay. Coraline, The Descent, Midsummer. Let's go. Oh, Parasite, And I really liked Bones and All. I really liked that movie.
I haven't seen that one.
I'm going to go with Nope, The Thing, The Exorcist, Phantasm, and Midsommar.
I'm going for The Witch, Let the Right One In, Basket Case, The Innocents from like a year or two ago.
Oh yes.
I really loved this year Sarah the Bone Woman.
Oh yeah, was it? I just had the director on actually. She's really
Oh
nice.
my God, lucky you! Was she amazing?
Yes, I actually met her in person because I volunteered at the Latino Film Festival here in San Diego, and she was there, and that's how I kind of got her to be on. So it was really really cool.
So lucky.
Seems cool.
Oh, this is really hard. I want to steal so many from you guys, but definitely the first two by the same woman, Ra and Titan. And then probably have to steal The Witch and The Innocents from you. And then I think it was a Spanish film, I believe. It was either Veronica or Victoria.
Oh, Veronica.
Right.
Yeah,
yes, that was creepy.
I heard much about it before, so it was kind of just like an unsuspecting, enjoyable. I feel like a woman had made it. It felt like that. It reminded me of a lot of films made by women, a lot of horror by women. It was very kind of slow and building. You really like had built concern for people. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think I remember I had like I don't really scare easy, but that one gave me a nightmare for sure. I was like,
that's a good creepy one. You'll like Issa Lopez's Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Oh yeah, that's on.
Yeah, and then there was another Argentinian one. I forget what it's called. It has like a same name as another film because it's also kind of reminding me of Veronica. I forgot the name. It escaped me. If I remember, I'll send it to you because it's a good film too. It's like really scary.
Can we ask about your 5?
My 5, mine's always changing, but I'm like kind of old school. So I like Werewolf in London. Like I love.
Oh yeah.
You know. The Thing probably would have to be up there. I always put Chucky just because it was the first film I watched, like first horror film. So it's not the best, but it's up there. Scream, because I love Wes Craven. And I would say probably one, like maybe Army of Darkness or something like Evil Dead. I just watched the new one, so.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's always changing, but I also like have Fright Night up there, like the 1980s version.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Chucky was the first horror movie I had ever wanted to watch as a kid. I thought it would be cool if I watched it. Dad went to take me. I think Mom busted him because I was like 6 or 7. Busted him like right when we were about to go. Like, where are you off? We're gonna go watch Chucky.
If I did, I was probably like,
and
you're going without me?
Yeah, maybe that's why also.
And what's like your favorite? What's your guys' favorite final girl?
The Descent.
Okay.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Let's see.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I love Black Christmas, 1974.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. Yeah.
I really love that film. I think all the chicks in that film are great because they're all just like smart, like educated. It's super progressive, that film. So
yeah,
they're not all final girls.
Yeah.
I'll just say that film.
Okay.
I have to say, and this might not, like, I would argue that this constitutes the final girl, but other people might argue that it doesn't. But I would say the magic girl in The Innocents is my favorite final girl because she pays a heavy penalty, but she solves a problem. And to me, that movie is a 100 out of 100 of perfection.
Yeah, that's an awesome film.
Mine would be from Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, nice.
Lisbeth Salander, because I've been reading that series as well, in both the American and the Swedish one. I love them both.
Yeah.
But she's just wicked. Like, to me, she's perfection. She doesn't even need to improve, but even her character, like, improves throughout the story. And she's just this intelligent and kind of waspy girl. She's tiny, but she's so fucking strong with her brain. And because of that, she can even use her body to be a strong, badass bitch. Like, she's not your usual protagonist. She's fucking wicked.
Which films do you prefer, like the American or the Swedish versions? I feel like I like the original ones. I don't know. It's just me, but
Me too.
Oh, I don't know. It's hard because I've seen the American one just more often. I've gotten used to it. I've been more easy access.
yeah.
I'd say the book character the most if I could choose, but I actually like the American actress a lot.
Yeah, she's really good.
But maybe because I could also understand more of the social cues and like I could read her tone better in English. Maybe I thought she was great.
Have you seen Watcher, the one that was out last year? It takes place in Romania.
Yes, I love that actress. I forget what's her name. She came out in the It Follows. I forget her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, her name. I always Micah something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that film.
That was a good film.
She's an interesting final girl because she's sort of is sort of victimized through it, but in the end, I don't want to spoil anything, but she's. I really love that film.
And then before we get out of here, I usually like to end it with this question, and it's for each of you guys, whoever wants to answer, or if you all want to answer it too. What kind of legacy do you guys want to leave behind, either creatively or personally?
Good question.
Ooh, that's a super good one.
Yeah.
I think mine's kind of just basic, but that you can do things not just as a family, but like we're all different ages, different gender, different personality, and that you can still like work together and make something interesting. Like still work together. We can all be equals. We can all do sound, direct, camera, acting. Like everybody can be an equivalent and make something nice with it. Can kick ass.
Nice.
Yeah, I really agree with you, Lulu. I think if anyone like remembers us 100 years from now, I just think it would be cool having them know that like a family can do a lot with a little, and that includes like making really fun horror movies.
Yeah, I would just stack one more thing on both of your guys' ideas and just say that no is not the answer. And that family never heard no.
What about you, Toby?
I don't think I can beat any of those. If it's good, don't overcook it.
You can cook my cheeseburgers from now on.
I love it because it reminded me of like your guys' Instagram where it says like small family, big films. Like I really love that. It's a good way to end it. Well, I want to thank you guys again for like, taking your time out of your day to like, meet with me and get to know you guys and talk about your films. Is there anything else you guys want to like shout out before you get out of here?
Yeah, we can't wait to talk with you again. You were wonderful.
Yeah,
thank you.
Those great questions, and from your friend too. Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you guys, and for sure, like, I'll welcome you guys back if we want to talk about the film when it comes out. That would be awesome.
That'd be fun. We
Definitely.
can't wait to hear your opinion on it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you guys, and keep doing it, keep inspiring, because I know I'm pretty sure like you inspired me, so I'm pretty sure you inspired other people, either just individuals or families. It's pretty cool what you guys are doing. Keep it up.
We'll look forward to seeing what you do with your films.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If not, I'll send you. If it's okay, I can send you the screenplay and see what you guys think. It's actually about witches. Ironically, it's about witches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and then we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
That was the Adams family. Yeah, really dope people. Really dope what they're doing. I'm really inspired by them and their story. It's really cool. So if you haven't already, follow them. I had their IG throughout the episode, but I also put it in the description. If you haven't already, go follow them. Follow myself if you're not already following me. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment, like, share. All that helps out my channel. And thank you guys for tuning in to another dope episode. Hope you guys dug it. Share in the comments what you guys thought. If you haven't already, check out Hellbender. Peace.